all the interaction we've done with Git so far, we've done from the command line. And that really is where Git sort of lives, and it's the best place for you to get started as a beginner and get familiar with those commands. However, some people find that after they've had experience with the basics and they're familiar with the command line, they find that they can actually speed up their workflow by incorporating a graphical user interface to help them to see the state of the Git project and actually work with Git by using a graphical user interface instead of typing. There are a number of options available to you for this. The first and simplest is just Git Web. Git Web is included with Git. You need to actually set up a web server to be able to do this. So it does require some amount of technical knowledge because you do need to be able to set up the web server to host it. But what it does is it lets you see your Git repository as a little mini website. Now that's a pretty basic and limited way of doing it, but it is on the web where it's available for everyone to be able to see, which is kind of nice. On a more personal level though, you're probably going to be more interested in a graphical user interface application that you can download onto your computer. Let's start by looking at a few of the most popular ones for the Mac. GitX is probably one of the oldest ones. It's been around the longest. GitHub, of course, we know is the hosting company. They also offer an application client that you can download and use. Now I'll give you a peek at GitX and GitHub just so that you get an idea of what a graphical user interface can do for you. But before we do that, let's also look at the list of Windows applications. So if you're on Windows, you probably want to look at one of these. These are the most popular ones. Again, you'll see that GitHub is in that list with their Windows client. And SmartGit actually has one for both. They're cross-platform. They offer it for both Mac and for Windows. And like I said, there are many of these, and new ones are appearing all the time. There's actually a pretty good list maintained on the Git Wiki. So if you go to the gitwiki.kernel.org, index.php/interfaces, front ends, and tools with caps in there, and it'll give you a list of all the different interfaces, front ends, and tools that are available to you. Based on the popularity of the choices that I showed you earlier, though, you probably won't need to go to this very exhaustive list. Let me give you an idea of what a graphical user interface can do for you. So this is GitX, and you can see here that it's showing me this kind of graphical view that I was looking at from the command line. It's a little nicer looking here. If I click on any one of these edits, you'll see that it shows me down here what the edit actually looks like. I can switch to look at different branches. I'm on master now, but I can switch and take a look at non-tracking, SEO title, shortened title, see what those all look like, and I can look at my remotes and see the states of things there. I also have the ability to stage my commits here. It'll give me a list of all the files that have changed right here. I can select them and it'll move them over here to the staged changes side, and then when I'm ready I can write a commit message and actually do the commit from here as well. Up here, this area just shows you the different changes so you can review them. So as you click on these different files, you can review the changes before you stage them and then commit them. Now it's got lots of other features, but that does give you an idea of how you're able to see your repository and interact with it from a graphical user interface. Let's take a look now at GitHub. This is the GitHub Mac client. So here once again we can see all the different commits I've made. This is essentially my log, the history. If I want to view information about one of those, I can just click on the arrow here. It'll take me to more information about it. I can revert the commit from here, go back to my history again. The changes I can also make from here, uncommitted changes. This is to let me put in my commit message, and then I can select the files that I want to stage and then add to the commit. And this is the file viewer over here where I can watch those. I've also got branches here where I can see all the different branches, and I can even go up here to repository. I can do things like switch branch. If I want to quickly just change to my non-tracking branch, now I'm on the non-tracking branch. I don't actually have to check it out. It does it for me, just like that. All these graphical user interfaces all have a different look to them, a different sense of what's important, and probably you'll need to try 3 or 4 of them till you find one that sort of feels right to you. But again, as a beginner, I think it's important not to become too dependent on these graphical user interface tools. You want to make sure that your command line knowledge is still solid before you start using them to speed things up for yourself.